This video is for anyone who needs a little help with the genetics practice problems. I'm going to do one or two of each section so you can sort of get the hang of it. This first section is just asking whether these alleles are heterozygous or homozygous. Remember, hetero means that they're different, that one is dominant and one is recessive. And homozygous means that they're the same. They're either both dominant or they're both recessive. So if you remember this slide, homozygous, they have to be the same. Homo means the same. Hetero means they're different. So here, I did the first one here. I put HO for homozygous. And then this one is, obviously they're not the same. One is dominant, one is recessive. So this I would put HE for heterozygous. And then you'll just do the rest of them the same way. For number 2, the genotypes are given, and then you need to write the phenotype. So hopefully you remember genotypes and phenotypes. Genotype is what alleles it has, and phenotype is what it looks like. So here, purple is dominant to white, and purple is represented by a big P allele, and white is represented by a little p. So you always use the same letter, and the dominant is going to be capital, and the recessive is going to be lowercase. So if your alleles are big P, then what's your phenotype? What will that flower look like? Well, I think you can guess it's going to be purple. If you have one purple allele and one white allele, you would still be purple because purple is dominant. So if you remember dominant traits will show up even when you just have one copy, whereas the recessive one will only show up when there's no dominant alleles. So this cat is brown when it has a big B. It's brown when it has a big B, little b, but it's gray if it has two little b's. So here we've got purple because it's got a dominant allele, and then this one is going to be white because it is now just two recessive alleles. So you'll do the phenotypes for here and here as well. Okay, this next section is just the opposite. They give you the phenotype, and now you need to put the genotypes. So it says, remember to use the letter of the dominant trait. So it tells you that straight hair is dominant to curly. So that means you're going to use the letter for straight hair. So let's go ahead and make straight hair big S. And then we'll say curly is going to be small s. So what would the genotype of someone who has straight hair be? Well, they could have two big S's, or they could have a big S and a little s because big S is dominant, so that little s would hide. And then if they had curly hair, they would have to be little s, little s. Then you can go ahead and do the other example. Okay, and then you're going to do a bunch of Punnett squares. The first one is pretty basic. The genotypes of the parents are already given. So this is one parent, and this is another parent. And you're going to make a Punnett square to predict what percent of the offspring are going to be round. And these are all the offspring in this box. These are all the possible combinations. So the first parent can either give a big R or a little r. The other parent just has two little r's to give. Okay, and the way the Punnett square works is you're going to put each combination possible. So one parent could give a big R, and then this parent could give a little r. That's one combination. Or this parent could give a little r, and this parent could give a little r. Or this parent could give a big R again. This parent could give a little r. Or each parent could give a little r. So those are the 4 possible combinations. And if you look, half of the possibilities are going to be little r, and half are going to be big R, little r. So the question is, what percent of the offspring will be round? They told us in the question that round is dominant to wrinkled. So this one is going to be round, and this one is going to be round. And 2 out of 4 is what percent? That would be 50%. Okay. If 3 of the squares had a big R in it, then we would say 75%. If only one of them, then we would say 25%. So each square represents 25%. Okay, I'm going to skip a bunch because I think you can do those. Let's jump down to, okay, this is 6 is still the same thing. I give you the genotype of the parent. So big T is going to go here, and little t is going to go here. That's one parent. The other parent is going to be a big T and a little t. And then you just fill in the Punnett square. Okay, so this T is going to go in here, this T is going to go in here. So this one is going to be big T, big T. This T is going to go in here, this T is going to go in here. So that's going to be big T, small t. This T is going to go here, and this T is going to go here. So that means it's going to be big T, small t. And then this small t is going to go here, and this small t is going to go here. So that's going to be little t, little t. So the question is, what percent of the offspring will be short? Well, earlier it said big T was tall and little t is short. So out of these squares, how many of them are going to be short? Well, if it has a big T, it's tall. So this is not going to be short. This is not going to be short. This is not going to be short. Only this one is going to be short. And what percent is 1 out of 4, or 1/4? That's going to be 25%. Okay, now let's jump down to here. Here they're just mixing up, they're telling you heterozygous round, which they give you the genotype already, so you don't even have to figure that out, and homozygous round. So again, you've got the parents. Now it just tells you homozygous round and homozygous wrinkled, so then you have to say what the genotypes. So homozygous round, they're both the same alleles, and they have to be round. So remember, round is a big R. So if it's homozygous round, normally round could be big R, or big R, little r, but if it's homozygous round, we know it's big R, big R. Okay, here it's saying pea plants are purple. In pea plants, purple flowers are dominant to white. So we know that our alleles are going to be big P for purple and little p for white. And this one is more just if we did 2 white flowered plants and they crossed, what percent of their offspring will be white? And if you think about it, you don't even have to do a Punnett square. Okay, here's a white plant. A white plant is going to be crossed with a plant that's heterozygous. So heterozygous is going to be 1 big and 1 small allele. So we're going back to the purple and white. So purple is going to be a big P, white is going to be a little p. So it's saying a white plant. So you have to figure out what the genotype for that white plant is and put it here. And then it's crossed with a plant that's heterozygous. So that plant is going to go here. Okay, and then here, 2 plants heterozygous. So both of them are going to have a big and a little, and a big and a little allele. And we're still talking about purple, so it's going to be big P's and little p's. And then the last section is just talking about guinea pigs. The allele for short hair is dominant, so that means you're going to have a big S for short hair and a little s for long hair. And it's just asking you what would the genotype for a heterozygous short-haired, what would the genotype for a purebred short hair, and what would the genotype for a long-haired guinea pig. So once you have the letters, then you can go ahead and figure out what the genotypes would be. and then a couple more crosses. If you have any questions, go ahead and text me and I can give you some more hints, but hopefully that will help you get started.